I'll like lay down on the floor and roll. It has a cooling effect. Those are lethal. I'm not sure, but if you live in the South, then you know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Thanks, Fernanda. Well, I mean, it's neon. It is neon. All I have to do is look at my Hiya sharps and it splits back open. Okay, let me rewind and start from the beginning. Hello, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. This is episode 21. Hello y'all, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. My name is Casey and I am the maker here at Young Folk Knits. If you're a returning viewer, then thank you so much for joining me again, and if you're new, then you are very welcome. This is a podcast mainly about knitting. I also talk about some different crafts that I enjoy, like sewing, sometimes crochet or beadwork or who knows what else, but definitely mainly about knitting. I live on a small farm in Arkansas with my family where we raise honeybees and chickens and gardens and spend lots of time outside in the beautiful foothills of the Ozarks. Today I actually have a finished object that I am so excited about. I have quite a few whips that I'd love to chat about, and also some dream knitting slash soon to cast on knit. So I have a lot to talk about. I'll try to keep it succinct. I'll try not to let time run away from me though. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, y'all, I am so excited to have this finished object. And it is the SOHO top by Sabina from K-Dri. And honestly, I cannot say enough good things about it. It is an amazing fit. It's so incredibly comfortable. When I hold it up, the fabric feels sort of heavy, but as soon as I put it on, it just feels amazing. It feels very comfortable. It feels like I have something on, but it's so breathable. I don't know if you can see my hand through there, but it's not see-through when I'm actually wearing it. Okay, let me rewind and start from the beginning. This was a test knit that originally called for Purl SOHO Sweetgrass, which is a blend of, I want to say linen and alpaca, but I wanted to use something that I had in stash, so I had some Tynn Lykke from Sandnes Garn, which is a linen cotton viscose blend. Let me check. It is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. These are 50-gram balls, and it has 220 meters. So, in the pattern, she holds the Sweetgrass Double, which is a fingering weight yarn. And I decided to use something I had, and I love this. I thought this yarn would be perfect for a summer top. I had 6 balls of the yarn, and I knew I would be holding it double. So she actually calls for a US 6 needle to knit this on, but I was having trouble meeting gauge with the 6. So I had to go up to a US 7, which I think made my fabric even more drapey. But I love it. It's so squishy. It just feels amazing. You work the front, you work the back, and then you join under the arms. You know, you're gonna be knitting flat for the front and back, which is amazing. You know, you're just starting out, you're really going, and all you have to do is knit. There's increases and things like that to shape it, but you're just knitting. It's amazing. So then you join in around, and garter then becomes knit 1 row, purl 1 row, which was, you know, it slowed me down a little bit, but it's all good. If I was knitting with wool or alpaca, I don't think that there would have been an issue at all, but because I'm using this mainly cotton linen yarn, these plant fibers, and I'm holding it double, it just made it so strong. There's zero give, and you're doing a lot of purling. So I will preface this, if you want to make this top and use this yarn, you do need to take frequent breaks, because my hands started to hurt quite a bit with this yarn. I think if I used a wool, it would have been so fast and so easy, and my hands would have been completely fine. So you're doing garter all the way through the body, and then on the side you have this really cute faux seam, which looks like an I-cord. I blocked this last night and it's still wet. I think it'll look a little bit better when it's fully dry, but I couldn't wait. So yeah, it's still pretty damp. I'm probably stretching it out. Then you go back though and pick up stitches for the neckline and the underarms and do an I-cord, which really gives a lot of strength and structure to those sections so that it's not going to overly stretch on you. It gives it amazing structure. I tried it on earlier and it was perfect. I think the I-cord is exactly what it needed. So you do a 3-stitch I-cord on the top, the sides, and the bottom, so I made the size 8, which is for a 48-inch bust, which is what I am, and I chose to make mine with 0 positive ease. I didn't want it to be really oversized, you know, I wanted it to be loose but well-fitting. Is that even a thing? Anyway, for my size, she calls for you to knit the body to a little under 11 inches, I think. It's 26 centimeters. And I decided I wanted mine a little bit longer because when I tried it on, it wasn't quite where I wanted it to hit. So I knit mine to 28 centimeters, and I used all the yarn I had. I knit until I just barely had enough yarn to finish, just enough yarn, you know, that was it to finish my I-cord bind off. And I wasn't sure I would have enough yarn, which in the end I definitely would have, but I wasn't sure I would have had enough yarn to do a 3-stitch I-cord bind off. So I decided to do a 2-stitch I-cord bind off. And the last row that I worked before the I-cord bind off was a purl row. So that purl row followed by the 2-stitch I-cord bind off actually made the I-cord look like my other 3-stitch I-cords, because the purl row just seamlessly blended with the I-cord, and it gave it a little bit more, what's the word? It gave it a little more width, isn't really the word, definitely not length. Fullness, it gave it a little bit more fullness. I think the fit is amazing. I'm going to make another one out of wool. Also, it was a really great group of testers. Bethany from Woolberry Fiber Co., Sarah from Denim and Rain, Britt from Bad Not Brit. I just can't even name them all because I would leave somebody out, but I literally love every top so far, and I've loved being in the group with everybody on the test, so it's been really fun. It's still wet, but I'm gonna try it on really quick. Just keep that in mind. It's got really great drape. I love that it is, it's loose, it's not tight. Because of the drape, I feel like it just fits really well. The I-cord bind off at the bottom does make it where, you know, that bottom's not gonna have stretch, but it's big enough so it doesn't need to stretch. Here's the neckline, which I really like. The straps are comfortable. The shaping is really comfortable. So these are some rust-colored linen pants that I feel like I pretty much wear every day, and it goes nicely with them. It's so wet, but I may try to leave it on. It has a cooling effect. Gotta get a drink of my sweet tea from Sonic. If y'all live in the South, then you know Sonic is the thing. Their drinks are the best. Oh my goodness, Sonic Ice is the bomb. And then they have the insulated cups, so I save it and just reuse it forever. Is it just a Southern thing, or is Sonic a all over thing? I'm not sure, but if you live in the South, then you know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Okay, it was still too wet. I had changed back. But let's move on to widths. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you some things that you have already seen. First up is the Never Ending Inclinations cowl. I still just absolutely love this. I feel like I've made no progress on it. So I have completely finished section 1 and section 2, and now I'm ready to do section 3, which is going to be some decreases, and that means I'm going to start working the... Let me look up the name of it. Okay, it is the SBKPP, which is a right leaning decrease. So you use 3 stitches. You're going to slip the stitch below knitwise, knit 1, pass a slip stitch over the top and off. Insert right hand needle into the stitch below of the first stitch on the left hand needle, lift the lower stitch up onto the needle, return the stitch that was knit to the left hand needle. Pass the second stitch with its strand from below over the knit stitch and off. What? Okay, I'm gonna have to read that a few times. Yeah, so I'm starting that section. I don't have much left. I could finish this very quickly if I would just devote some time to it. This is so nice on my hands because it's wool, and after I work on cotton or linen for very long, I start craving wool, and I really want to get this back out and work on it. So I'll get this out and work on it at the end of the day when my hands are hurting, and it's very nice to have it. But will I ever finish it? Let's hope so. This may not be the prettiest thing that I've ever knit, but I have a feeling that this might be my go-to when I'm outside and I just want to put something easy around my neck to keep it warm. You know, the 3 days out of the year that it's cold enough to need something. But yeah, I think this will be really easy to wear is my hope. I'm using the colors Flashback and Brown Sugar, and I love the colors. And I love the wool. Wool's so nice. Moving on, my next whip and test knit is my Zosia Wrap Cardigan by Alex from Bear and Rose. So this is my wrap. I have actually finished the body to the point that I now am working on the waistband. So all of this part is done, and then you cast on the waistband and you're gonna work, you know, to the length that you want it to be able to tie it, and then you're going to start working and connecting it to the body of your sweater, and then you'll finish the other side of the tie. Then I still need to do both sleeves. Thankfully, this is a super fun stitch to knit, so that helps a lot. And I'm knitting it on US 7 needles, which also helps a lot. So this pattern, I am using my Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, which I'm in love with. I told y'all this is my $30 sweater. I got the yarn from a Ravelry D-stash. I was able to get 10 balls of the yarn, which is exactly what I needed in the color that I wanted. It was crazy, shipped from the US. I found out from a lot of the testers that Wool Warehouse, is that right? Wool Warehouse, I think it's in the UK. I've never ordered from there, so I might be wrong on a few of the details, but they carry the Drops yarn, and everyone that ordered it from the US that is testing said it got there really quick. It was good shipping prices, and they have ordered from there a lot. And then I had a lot of commenters on my last episode, episode 20, where I talked about this. A lot of commenters told me that they have ordered from Wool Warehouse and highly recommend it. So I want to throw that out there in case anybody wants some Drops yarn. Apparently that is a great place to order it from. So I'm definitely going to keep that in mind, and if I want to use Drops again, which I think I definitely will, I'm going to try that out. It's going to, I don't want it to fall off my needle. Yeah, I'm going to put a picture of me trying it on. Well, you put it on, and then it wraps around, and then your tie will go around and tie. I really like the length that mine is at. I think it's gonna hit me waist level, which I love. It's fluffy, it's soft, it's not heavy, it's just so nice. And look at that beautiful stitch pattern that Alex designed. I really love it. I love it so much, and I feel like I'm gonna wear this a lot. She's a genius designer, and everything is just absolutely beautiful. I will say this, which I said in my last episode, I do feel that this particular pattern, due to the construction, there's just a lot going on at once. You're increasing your joining in the round, you're increasing your stitch pattern as well from a chart. I just feel like this is not a pattern for a beginner. If you're an intermediate or advanced knitter, then I think you'll be fine. But you do need to know how to knit from a chart, and I think you need to know how to take a chart, and as you're adding new stitches, continuing to add on to the chart a bit. So that makes it a little bit more of an advanced pattern, I think. But this is just such a unique pattern. I've never knit anything like it before. I love the shape. She also has you do bust shaping, and she is like spot on with where the bust shaping was for me. It was perfect. She has you measure and figure it out, and it's very flattering, I think. Hopefully I'll have this in the next week or two. Wow, a week might be a little bit ambitious. So now that I finished my other test knit, I'm going to pretty much exclusively knit on this. It's so fluffy. I love it. Okay, next up, it's really pitiful, but I'm going to show you anyway. I decided to cast on a half and half triangles wrap because Ruth from the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast, Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me podcast are having the Across the Pond Shawl Knit Along 2022. I'll put the hashtag up here. And I have like 50 shawls I want to knit for it, but I'm settling with this one. And then my friend Miga from Skeins of Dreams is having the Blankets of Dreams make along. So, you know, crochet, knit, whatever, you can do that. And I feel like this might be used more as a throw than a wrap for me. We'll see, maybe it'll work out as a shawl, but it just seems like it's gonna be pretty big. So I'm also making this for Miga's make along. She is making a gorgeous half and half, which has this really beautiful red and this really beautiful purple, and they're both like these jewel tone colors. They just pop and they complement each other so well. So she's very much inspiring me to start working on mine. This is the sad reality of how much I've knit. It was like 10 minutes worth. Oh well. And in case you haven't seen my previous episode, these are the colors that I'm using. So this is Peony Pink and this is Super Orange. I really like it. I think it looks a little bit more neon. Well, I mean, it's neon. It is neon. It's definitely neon, but I think it looks more fluorescent on camera than it is in real life. This is my fun knit at the moment. So Miga is doing an I-cord edging. She cast on 3 stitches and, you know, is working them by slipping those 3 stitches and then knitting them on the other side. I was gonna do that, but I can be super anal about things, and I realized that it only has an I-cord edging on 2 sides that way, and then 2 sides don't have it. And I could go back and pick up stitches for the 2 sides that don't have it and then work an I-cord bind off, but I don't want to pick up like 300 stitches. So I decided I'm just going to slip the stitch on the side, and that way it'll have a little bit of a neater edge, and I'm just gonna go with that for simplicity's sake. So far I'm really enjoying knitting with this a lot though. I think the colors I got are not itchy, they're soft, but when I put it up to my neck, I can 100% feel those stray fibers that stick out here and there. So that is something to keep in mind. I think some people could definitely be sensitive to this in a sweater. Lisa, who has the podcast and so on, she's knitting one, and a lot of people are knitting one right now. I'm trying to think who all else is knitting one at the moment. If you've seen the Free Your Sheet podcast, oh, is she knitting one right now? So now I'm getting confused on who's making one at the moment or who already has. Anyway, look up the hashtag and you'll see lots of beautiful half and half wraps. Okay, so my next project is one that I have just recently cast on. I mean, I've cast on and that's pretty much it. I took it in the car with me yesterday and I just realized that I left the project out in the car and I'm not gonna go get it right now. But I will show you some of the yarn that I haven't wound up yet. So if I were going to Rhinebeck this year, this would be my Rhinebeck sweater. And it is the Easy V, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks. And I loved her original colors so much that I'm totally copying that. I haven't even got to the part where I do the color work yet. I'm using the original colors that she did, and I think that this Woololo is gorgeous. I've got Woololo in Dyed in the Wool, and then I also have Woololo for an Andrea Mowry pattern. I'm gonna make a cardigan, a color work cardigan. It's not the Spice cardigan. Anyway, so yeah, I got Woololo for that, but I loved it so much, and then I saw she used it in the pattern. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use that color for sure. So I'm using that, and then this is Castaway. And then this is Stay Ready, which is like almost like a black and white and gray marl. And then this that I'm using for the main color is a light worsted yarn. It is a Rambouillet wool. There's 190 yards for 100 gram skein. and it's a non-super wash. It's like super bouncy, so I really like that a lot. And it says that it's a light worsted, but I can definitely see it being a worsted. So that is my colors for my Easy V. And I've gone with a size that's a little bit oversized because I really like the look of it on her, a bit oversized. It kind of drapes on the shoulders and it's kind of got that oversized comfy look. I think it looks really well on her. So that is my other current whip. I'm still trying to finish up my mom's socks. Of course, I have like 50,000 other whips that I'm not even going to go into. But I would like to talk a little bit about future knitting plans.
Sometimes love is a river running strong, moving like a wave through a rocky riverbed. Sometimes love is a dancer in the dark, spinning, laughing, twirling through the back door of your heart. And every time I think of you, well, something happens in my mind. And every time I try to leave, you're keeping me occupied. I'm losing track of time. Track of time. Sometimes love is a thought we held too long. Sometimes it's alright just to be a little wrong, with no sense of consequence, the strength to carry on. But day breaks in the darkest places right before the dawn. So if you ever lie awake with situations in your mind and you try to sleep it off, night keeps on passing by, you're losing track of time. You're losing track of time. Sometimes love is a...
So I'm kind of at that point. I'm done with summer. It's so hot. I feel like I can barely go outside without having a heat stroke. It's just miserable, you know? So I want to knit all of the fall things and think about fall and just move on to the next season. So I've got this yarn from Zara from Craft Me Not Yarn Co. and it is her Silky Sport base. The last ranunculus that I did was Little Fox yarn on their sport base, which they don't carry that particular sport base anymore. They do have another one. It's just an amazing fit, and I think that the yarn weight was perfect for me to wear by itself. You know, it wasn't too see-through. I just really was happy with it. So Zara dyed me some black yarn on her Silky Sport base. It's absolutely amazing. It's so silky. It really is. It has silk and wool. It's just such a nice base, so you should definitely check that out from Zara. I'm 100% gonna make a black ranunculus. I'm just not sure if I'm ready to cast on now or if I want to wait and maybe finish up a couple of sweaters first, which would be the responsible thing to do. That's definitely on my list. You know, I am making this for sure. So I'm very excited about that. So I have this book from Pom Pom, and it is their Dreamscape issue. It's the one that came out this spring, spring 2022. So does it have a number? Is it four? Yeah, it's 40. It's issue number 40. So I bought this book for 2 patterns, although I really like a lot of them. I mean, I would probably make most of the patterns in here. First of all is the one on the cover, which is the effervescent pullover, and I've actually already cast that on, and I have made no progress on it yet though. I do love it. So that is a lovely pattern. And then the other reason that I bought the book is for this pattern, which I'm sure you've all seen pictures of, which is the Plumetis pullover. I didn't really have any plans to make it, just that I knew I wanted to at some point. So Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me came in and totally wrecked my planning list. Thanks, Fernanda. She just got done making a Plumetis pullover for her mom, and oh my goodness, it's so pretty. It's so dreamy. So yeah, I pretty much knew I had to make it. So I was trying to decide what colors I was going to use. So the only other color I have is the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Ranch Romance, and I think it's perfect. So this is their Oh Dang Surrey base. I have a couple more skeins of this, so I think I have just enough. All my other Surreys that I have, I just don't have enough of it to make the sweater, and I would have to order more. So yeah, this is my choice, and I really like it. And then the nice thing is I only have to use 1 skein of a fingering weight to pair with it, so it can be a stash buster for a random skein that you really love. And I have got it narrowed down to 2 colors, and I think I'm going to use one by Spun Right Round. I'm either going to use that one, or I'm going to use like this random skein of Farmer's Daughter Fibers that I have. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys know for sure when I pick it out, but yeah, I'm very excited for that sweater. So that's all of my projects I was going to share today, but I am going to knit for a little bit on my half and half triangles wrap, and I thought we could chat for a bit. So if you have a project that you want to knit on, then please join me. I wanted to answer a question that y'all had asked me previously, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm reading and watching. So a question that I have got quite a few times is about needle suggestions. So I have a few different brands of needles. I have a set of interchangeables from Addi, and I really like those. Then I have a set of interchangeable wooden needles or driftwood from Lykke, and I really like those as well. So all of my sock needles are Chiaogoo. Then I have quite a few needles that I call my shawl needles that are Hiya sharps that I use for like lace shawls. I really like them. But if I had to choose one brand that I would only use it for the rest of my life and never any other, then I think it would have to be the Chiaogoo needles. They're just really nice. That's what I'm knitting this on. To me, their cords are the best. Like, you literally cannot beat their cords. I've not ever found a cord that's as well made as the red Chiaogoo cords. And their needles are also really nice. They just have a nice balance between sharp and too sharp. So it's just like that perfect happy medium. I feel like I could never go wrong with recommending the Chiaogoo needle. I got some of the shorter Addi needles as my very first set of interchangeables, and it came in this really beautiful leather case. And I love Addi needles, but the metal needle part is a little bit too short, and it hits my hand right here in that fatty part below my pinky, and it gets sore really quickly. A lot of times I'll go back to using a fixed needle with this longer length, but you know what? You can get the interchangeable needles with the longer length. So that's always an option. But do I love my Addi interchangeable set? Absolutely. I'm very happy with it. Their cords are just not as good as the Chiaogoos though. Also, sometimes my yarn gets caught a little bit at the join and I don't like that. So when it comes to actually knitting with needles, I actually prefer knitting with the fixed circular Chiaogoo needles. But I don't have a set of Chiaogoo interchangeables, but I have a lot of friends that do and they really like them. Does the yarn ever get caught a little bit at the join? Is that a thing with all interchangeables? I don't seem to have that problem much with the Lykke needles, so maybe it's just certain brands. I love my fixed Chiaogoos, and all my 9-inch circulars are Chiaogoos, and I just absolutely love them. So sometimes there are some stitch patterns and I'm just like, I gotta have my Hiya sharps. So I get those out and boy, those can just, they can stab through anything. I literally have like this permanent, I'll show you. I have like this permanent sore on my index finger of my right hand. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit more healed at the moment, but yeah. It's like this split in my finger. All I have to do is look at my Hiya sharps and it splits back open. Those are lethal. But there ain't nothing better for those slip pearls. I'm telling you what, those things are amazing. So that's my 2 cents. That's my recommendation. As far as what I have been reading, I just started listening to the book Magpie Fibers. I just started listening to the book Magpie Murders by Anthony Horrowitz. Now, I've just started it, so I can't really recommend one way or the other. I don't know much about it yet, but it's like a book set inside of a book, and it has 2 narrators. The first is Samantha Bond, which you probably know as Moneypenny or the aunt on Downton Abbey. Actually, she's in a lot of stuff, so yeah. And then the other narrator is Alan Cordiner. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. He's doing a really nice job narrating as well. It reminds me very much of an Agatha Christie book. It's already very engaging and I am enjoying it. And my friend Becky sent me an article showing that PBS is going to be making it into a series. So I am excited about that. So I've still been watching Death in Paradise. I'm on season 6, I think. But I have sort of taken a little bit of a break because I remember when I was a kid watching Monarch of the Glen and I loved it. It's like basically like this Scottish, I don't know, it's like this really fun Scottish something. It's just a really fun TV show. So I've been rewatching that. It kind of makes me feel like Keeping Up Appearances. Keeping Up Appearances is one of my absolute favorite TV shows to watch when I'm feeling down because it's so light, it's so silly. It's just, it is absolutely hilarious. I'll like lay down on the floor and roll. It's so funny. Monarch of the Glen is kind of that same feel-good, funny TV show. Different though because it's got some drama aspects to it. Just sort of an old feel-good TV show. All right, y'all, that's all I have to share today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. You can find me on Instagram at youngfolk.knits and on Ravelry under Casey Apple. If you enjoy these videos, then please like and subscribe. Subscribing really helps my channel out a lot and helps me to continue making videos, and I appreciate it so much, each and every one of you. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be seeing y'all soon. Happy knitting.